Everyone, so I just wanted to let you know. So hey everyone, this is the after party after show. You can see our rogues gallery here. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Now this is where I sit back and let everyone be clever, right? Is that how the model of this after party after show goes?
That's beyond my capability.
You keep us in line.
Good moderation is important. That's what that is.
Everything in moderation, including moderation. Sometimes you just got to let your hair down.
There's been a lot of Saturday nights at the pub that have been immoderate, to say the least.
I don't have much hair to let down, but okay. My hair ran away from me years ago.
Yeah. I'm just fortunate that I have the hair on my head that I have.
Yeah, unfortunately, more hair's growing out of my ears than out of my head. So you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of the many pleasures of getting older.
It's hard to tell in this light. Actually, I like this light because it makes my hair look dark. But I actually really don't have much color left at all.
Oh really?
Yeah, and that began very early 30s, maybe even late 20s.
Hey, gray's a color.
But my dad passed pretty early, 67, but still full head of hair.
Oh wow.
So, and Mum said on her side was
am I
the same,
actually here now?
Fingers
Has my tech
crossed.
stopped breaking?
Sam, is that you?
Oh, my tech has not stopped breaking. I cannot hear any of you.
You can't hear us. Oh no.
We can just hear you. Not that you could hear me say that, but
right. There's some kind of philosophical point to be made. You know, if a person on YouTube speaks and you can't hear it, do they speak at all?
That's right.
A little solipsism there in the morning, everyone, for all of you keeping track at home with your philosophy scorecard.
He may be able to lip read.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Sam, we're here for you.
Yes.
Well, you were saying about not being able to hear. If a branch falls in a Republican forest, do they blame it on Obama?
Oh yeah, they blame it. Yeah, deep state, Obama, someone. It's definitely not their own fault.
Yeah,
liberal snowflakes.
Yeah, so I am excited about the midterm elections here, just to see if the Trump supporters can actually get their candidates into office. Because if they can't, like I was saying in the other show, a lot of that Trump support would be melting away in the higher echelons of power.
I'm just wondering how they're going to carve Texas up with it getting 2 new House seats. It scares the shit out of me, you know?
Yeah.
Are they getting 2 more House seats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to carve us up, I'm guaranteeing, to where they'll stay in power.
Glenn and
yeah, I gotta love gerrymandering.
Sam, you're with
I am
us.
back.
So Glenn and Sam, I want to ask you two, is Britain or the United Kingdom, we'll say Britain specifically, heading towards the left a little bit, or not so much heading towards the left as turning on its right a little bit, similar to America?
Are you saying Britain?
Yeah. Because I found that that's happening in Australia, and something you said, Andy, about the powers that be are turning on what would be our Republicans, our right party, which is sort of unprecedented.
Well,
it's a good sign. It makes me hopeful.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if Britain was turning, because you got to remember that under the last election, the Tories were incredibly unpopular, but they still maintained a majority. At least in Britain, they did. And Corbyn had certain things that they were able to play on. He's whether or not he was anti-Semitic, his past statements, but I don't know if this is where I think is how responsible will they hold Boris for the how bad they reacted to COVID, and that's a big point.
They probably won't, and I acknowledge that this is coming from someone who's part of several minorities, so my view is slanted here. The UK is moving to the right. It's becoming more and more in line with America.
Well, I think it's and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Sam, because I'm just a stupid colonial. But it seems like maybe England is going to the right, and maybe, but not Scotland as much.
Scotland's staying about the same, as far as I can tell. I don't live there, so I don't keep up as much. But as far as I can tell, the rest of the UK is staying about the same, and England is going to the right.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, the problem is I just don't know how Britain's going to the right, because like it's maybe just because they're able to play on the stereotypes about the darker skinned people that have moved into the country, and they're able to play them off and use that. I don't know what the other reasons it is, because ever since Cameron took over, they've done nothing but make the country worse in terms of, especially economically. At least
I'll be honest, my perspective is relatively limited, because the first Prime Minister I remember was Prime Minister Pigden.
The last one.
The last Prime Minister, the earliest Prime Minister that I remember was David Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I genuinely don't remember a Labour government ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was actually moved back to England in the time that I think in 2004. So I think it was about 4 years before Cameron took over or something, or maybe 6 years. So I got the Labour government, and the problem was with the Labour government is they were so toxic because of Tony Blair, and the economy crashed, and it was just the perfect situation for, in my opinion, for a right-wing government to take over. And unfortunately, the problem is that I said it before. I said, when they went with straight austerity, I go, this is not going to work. You have to have people spending money to generate the economy, and it didn't. It did exactly what I predicted was going to be. I said when he got elected that he was just Thatcher in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would add that especially Brexit teed them up for a whole lot of racism.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can argue that Brexit was specifically a manifestation of tribalism, at the very least.
Oh, absolutely. And it's are you guys familiar with what a gollywog is? I think. Yeah,
I know it is. It's that toy that's painted black, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes. Rather racist.
Yes.
I've seen multiple of my family members, particularly the elderly ones, sharing that around and saying, let's see how far we can get this around Facebook before it gets taken off.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's just I'm not saying he's been a great mayor, but I'd say at least 60 to 70% of what Sadiq Khan has to put up with, his criticism, is based nothing on his policies, but the fact is that he is Middle Eastern descent.
Oh yeah, I think he's made some poor choices, but most of the criticism I see of him isn't for his choices.
Yeah.
I would say that I know someone in the chat was, I forget who. James Henry was saying that predicting that Scotland and Ireland will, I guess, leave the UK. If Scotland does do that, then they'll be part of the EU more than likely.
Can they take kind of Sheffield and everything above with them?
Where are you actually? Where are you from, Sam?
Manchester-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my family was originally from my whole dad's side of the family's from Loughborough, Leicestershire area. So Yeah, Midlands. So yeah, I'm that's my family end.
So, do your politicians dance naked on their desks in Parliament House?
No, but they might as well for all the good they do.
Right.
Yeah, but David Cameron does fuck pig heads, you know. So
True, true.
Yeah, and in Northern Ireland, it just seems like it is just
poor
a bloody
Matt
path
Pig.
towards reunification. That's what it's. I mean, that's what it appears like.
but you see
I am of the opinion that Northern Ireland will end up rejoining Ireland, and that Scotland will take its time working out exactly how to do it, and then give us the middle finger.
but they have to get permission from the British government to even have a referendum, which from what I hear, the British government will just tell them to piss off. You're not leaving. As far as I've been told, they have to get permission from the House of Commons to even have a vote on referendum.
They have to get permission to have a referendum, but I don't think they have to get permission to have an unofficial referendum, meaning they could get an opinion poll to try and pressure the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah.
Well, you know what prevents Scotland? I mean, seriously, what prevents Scotland from doing a hard Scotex? Right? Are the English really going to be surging troops north of the border?
What's really stopping them is that some of their law structures and some of their infrastructures are still based in London, because our government said we're going to keep a bit of your stuff here as effectively a hostage, so they have to create a system to function separately to that somewhere in Scotland. But once they've set that up, then I don't see anything to stop them.
Right. Jesse Bear asks in the chat, hasn't Scotland wanted out? I think the last vote, that was a couple of years, 5 years ago, maybe.
It was about that, and it was, if I remember correctly, it was very close.
It
was close, but people still wanted to be part of the UK.
But that's because they were lied to about Brexit. They were lied to.
Umming and ahhing about it, but there was a lot of fear mongering around Brexit. Cough, cough, lies on buses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, the thing, if I remember correctly, was that when they I think when the First Minister of Scotland went and said, we will stay in the country if you promise us you're not going to put a vote down to a referendum down to get out of the EU. They said, we will not do it, and then they went and did it. So if I was Scotland, I would just be giving a middle finger all over the place to them, because they got. Well, let's face it, the English and British have been screwing them for centuries, So this wouldn't be the first or the last time,
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, and it certainly doesn't help living on Turf Island.
Turf Island? That's interesting. Speak more about that.
So the UK has an incredibly high density of people who are TERFs, and it's still increasing, which is somewhat common.
Sam, I think you're going to actually have to talk about what the basic definition of TERF is here, because I'm acquainted with the term, but there might be people here who aren't.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I forget. Not everyone is familiar. So, it's an acronym for trans exclusionary radical feminists, i.e., people who don't think trans people exist.
Yeah. That Rowling woman, right? The Harry Potter.
Yeah.
She is like the queen of TERFs, from what I understand.
She is what caused the movement, effectively, was her being more outspoken about it. And it's like, great, that's good to know as a non-binary person.
So I imagine the right over there is using trans issues like the right is using over here in the States as basically a way to get votes.
Sort of, yeah. Like there is, it's not directly happened yet, but there is a petition at the moment to get the UK government to legally recognise non-binary people. Which the Tories are not liking and are almost certainly going to try and play up.
Yeah.
What is it? I thought it stood for Trollops Eat Real Feces.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was mistaken there. Yes. It's that.
Yeah, to make sure you don't want to seed misinformation, Sam.
Right. I'll be honest. When my
Sorry,
kid,
they anger me such.
Oh, see, I prefer the term for them fart, but most people don't know that one. It's feminist appropriating radical transphobe.
oh wow, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, you see,
Dirty farts.
you see what I've noticed in Britain is that even going back as far as the previous before Labour came in, they would never touch the NHS because the NHS was one of the proudest things that they had. They would never touch the NHS. Now they're selling off the NHS. So the Conservatives have gone further right than they ever were, and you see the people that are the people that are like following them and are supporting them. A lot of them are they're enough of the working class that somehow follow them, which I never understood. It's like working class people and poor people voting Republican. I never understood the point.
Well, the point is tribalism. That's what it is. It's tribalism, and tribalism trumps anything that the frontal lobes can do. I mean, most of the time. It isn't all the time, but a lot of the time, tribalism just takes over people's brains and gets them to vote against their own self-interest, their own interests.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah. I think one of the, because my brain is very much on the pragmatist side of what can we do, and I am of the opinion that both the US and the UK would benefit from ranked voting because first past the post is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, ranked voting, I believe we just had a ballot initiative here in Massachusetts. And for everything except for federal offices, we're going to have ranked choice voting. I'm not absolutely sure, though. But ranked choice voting is being more, and the thing is that there's a way out. There is a way out. And one of them, I think the most important atheist issue here in the States is universal health care. Because as soon as you give people security, they become less religious. And the idea that Britain might be getting rid of the NHS is definitely scary. It's a scary thought.
So explain to me quickly, Sam. You say first past the post. Someone explained it to me. I never quite understood. Surely you have to get the majority of the votes to actually carry an area, like a riding, what we call a riding, or where a MP is. So how is it? Surely they have to get a certain amount of votes before they're going to call it a race, right?
It's just whoever has the most votes. So if you've got 100 people, 98% of them get 1%, one of them gets 0%, and one gets 2%. The 2% wins. Oh,
okay. So it's So so if you did rank voting, then you could see you could get a better breakdown of who actually who they want in the to represent them, pretty much.
Yeah, and if you swap to rank voting, you also give more opportunity for smaller parties to suddenly have a voice. Yeah, because I could vote, for example, for the Green Party without having to worry about Labour not getting in my local area.
Yeah.
And this is really important here in the States because I had Howie Hawkins on, the person who ran for president for the Green Party, twice. And he said both times that it's very difficult to get on the ballot here in the United States of America. There are just so many hurdles for a third party candidate to actually win. And ranked choice voting would definitely help have more voices, in the public forum.
Yeah. Well, we have. You see this. It's the same in Canada's, in your country. There's certain parts where I lived when I moved back, where my parents are living now. It's such a conservative area that the guy that they had in there was well past his sell-by date, but they're never going to vote. They're never going to vote liberal or green or any of the other one. It's always going to be voted conservative, and the problem is that at least for the next, I'd say probably 30 years, or at least 20 years, the population in the area that I'm in is a lot older. It's a retired people, so they vote conservative more than things. So it's sometimes you just feel hopeless, like a Democrat running in Florida or Texas,
Right. Well, just speaking about Florida and Texas, especially Texas, as most of us already know, that it's a purple state.
Yeah.
A lot of it is bluish red, and it might be flipped at least within my lifetime, which may not be that long. I mean, I have gray hair. Soon to be probably all white hair.
That gives me sort of some hope, because my two partners live in Texas and Florida. So,
yeah,
and because I always have to say this in new places, I'm polyamorous. It's not cheating to have multiple partners for me.
Yes, definitely.
And it's
in Austin,
reddish blue, you say?
In the Austin
As
area,
opposed to yellow and yellowish green. Of course, it's reddish blue. That's the only two options, isn't it?
Sorry, which is the is it John? You're from Texas, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is the one? There's one of the big cities is very blue. Which is that? Is that Austin or is that?
That's Austin.
Yeah,
that's Austin. I'm about 30 minutes out of Austin.
Yeah,
and the neighborhood I'm in, it's blue. It's in Hayes County.
Yeah. It's you see that's why, because there are a lot of I heard these things. I can't remember what some YouTube channel was saying. Whoever gets, because now they get to redistrict. I think this is one of the years they get to redistrict, and the people that won back seats for the Democrats are like, do we redistrict and hopefully, and then might piss off the people to the point they vote Republican, or we don't redistrict and we get screwed again. So, it's honestly like redistricting should not be done by any party. It should be done by
in several states, actually right now, and not many states, there are nonpartisan or bipartisan commissions. Because you're absolutely right, Glenn. It is toxic to let the party in power write the rules of the game, because that's what redistricting is. It's madness.
Yep.
So
gerrymandering.
having bipartisan commissions doing this, it isn't perfect, but it's far better than the system that we have now.
Yeah, because it's just, you look at some of these districts, and I mean it's like literally it's like literally an epileptic 5-year-old.
Yes.
And I can say that because I had childhood epilepsy. So before this channel gets us disbanded, I was epileptic, so I can say that.
Oh, okay.
I have an epileptic 5-year-old, and I concur, Glenn. So
no, it's just you see, I'm sorry, is gerrymandering's got to be the only reason someone like Louis Gohmert could ever like, besides be able to tie his shoelaces, let alone like, I wonder sometimes how these guys, whether it be him or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert, like, how do they get up in the morning and not remember and not forget to breathe?
Yeah, it's bizarre because like I feel like I knew more U.S. law than Marjorie Taylor Greene when I couldn't have told you whether Dallas or Kentucky was a state between the two of them.
Well, you know what? Well, there's a TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? She does definitely not want to go on that one.
No. I will say this about Republicans like Greene is that they understand the nature of politics, especially within their own districts, and that they know to be aggressive within this crazy gerrymandered system that we have. It incentivizes people to say and do crazy things, for politicians to do crazy things.
Yeah. Well, there's ways to do it. They got to, well, unless you got a mansion in, you're never going to pass that voter law that the Democrats want. But
I believe
to make fair elections, because to try overturn all these ridiculous laws that are getting signed in by different states now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it was Virginia who passed a ballot initiative against gerrymandering, and that was due to citizen groups banding together and making sure that the party in power doesn't get to redistrict. And that was, like I said, that was just everyday citizens getting together and pushing that ballot issue.
Could this be something that could be done at a federal level if you got a big majority in the Senate and the thing? Could it be done at a federal level where you ban party affiliated gerrymandering?
Well, let me tell you something about the U.S. Senate, my friend. Unless we get rid of, and I'm just going to say something that everyone knows, that unless we get rid of the filibuster or do significant filibuster reform, this is the best time for Democrats when they have 50 seats plus one for the vice president. Yeah. Because after this, it's probably going to be more Republicans in the Senate. Historically speaking, that's just how elections run here.
Unless you can get Puerto Rico and Washington in as states.
Yeah, but
they fucking should be.
Yeah, they should be.
I hate people say that's not what the founders wanted, and I'm just like, you do realize your founders wanted to commit genocide, right?
Yes.
That and the fact when the founders were there were what, like 5 states or 10 states, not even
13.
Yeah. Lucky 13.
It was 13.
Yeah, lucky 13.
But you see, the thing is, this is so. Just quickly, this is something like they say. Eliminate the filibuster. Is that because there's only a certain amount of time you can vote on a bill, and if it passes, the bill has to be sent back? Is that the reason why they have filibuster? Is that the reason?
If they don't get the votes, with right now, for the filibuster, a person doesn't actually have to do a filibuster. What they do is that they threaten a filibuster, and that pretty much kills any kind of discussion. But
how does the filibuster work? I think what Glenn's getting at, because
what I want to know is the reason why they have a filibuster, because if you don't have a vote on it after a certain time,
shut up. They'll just keep talking and talking and talking.
Is there a deadline that they run out of time?
I'm not
then you
sure.
can't vote on it.
I believe there is. I know that the Senate probably has like a variety of different activities that they do and a bunch of different bills coming up at all times, through different committees. And so if Republicans decide to filibuster a particular bill, unless they can get the votes fairly immediately, then it gets put on the back burner, and that burner may never get brought back. That may never get brought back up on the front burner.
So is it safe to say that even Americans don't really get it?
Yes.
Is anybody?
Yeah, I believe it's pretty safe to say that most Americans don't understand a lot out of anything, to tell you the truth, about their government. Yeah.
We don't get a lot of shit.
Well, it's also the thing that I saw this meme where it was this rich guy convincing this middle class guy that the guy that's the problem is the guy that makes nothing.
Yep. Those guys are taking your money.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's I had this discussion because a friend of mine who lives in Kentucky, she brought up on how mistreated like service staff are in restaurants and how underpaid they are, and how it's just like, stop speaking to them like they're garbage just because they serve you your food, And it followed into a discussion of minimum wage, and some guy was saying that a minimum wage increase won't help because it will just shrink the businesses, which has been proven it doesn't work. But then he's going saying that this is what happened in the United States, and I just canceled my comment because I didn't want to go into a whole this. I really couldn't care anymore. But the thing is, the thing is what pisses me off is like he goes, well, this is how and I'm going, so the United States is so goddamn fucking awesome that everything they do is that what would work in 99 other countries would never work in this country because the USA is so different and awesome.
American exceptionalism, my friend.
Yes.
USA.
Yeah, and I think that it frustrates me because like I try and have these conversations with people and I'm like, no, there's literal economics papers on this. And then they go, oh, I don't trust economists. And it's like, you use money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this.
Money.
I mentioned this on the show last week about Skeptic Inquirer doing an online discussion or a presentation about how to. Mick West, I believe, was the speaker, and he wrote a book about how to talk to people who are conspiracy theorists. And one of the Leanne Lord, the comedian and humanist, said after during the Q&A session, it's important to be able to show your work. So just being able to say economists say this, if you can somehow distill what the economists say into something bite-sizable,
yeah,
then I think that's more of an effective way to communicating than just appealing to that authority.
See, I actually ended up, I know way too many flat earthers. And I've reached a point with them where I'm just like, okay, so where do you think the conspiracy for flat Earth starts?
Yeah,
because we've known about the Earth being roughly spherical for about 4,500 years.
Yeah.
And that normally kind of breaks down the government's covering it up thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, you also got to believe that these are the people like that fly a plane and say it's flying straight, and that's how the Earth is flat, and that the moon landing was faked, and that
and they failed to ask the question: which government? The governments that don't agree, the governments that are at war with each other,
the secret
happen to agree on this one thing.
Well, it's the same thing I said. I said when people try to use the 9/11 was an inside job thing, it was a controlled explosion. You just need one person, because keep in mind how many people you would have to use to make that actually work. There'd have to be hundreds or thousands of people you'd need to actually a conspiracy of that size. It needs one. So you're telling me there's not one of the thousands that would have empathy and would think twice.
When I talk to people about these conspiracies, I like to reference Fight Club and Project Mayhem. Hear me out on this. The idea that Tyler Durden and Project Mayhem could orchestrate all this chaos without anyone squealing, without anyone ratting on them, without the whole system falling down. It's just you just get too many people into the system, someone's going to squeal, someone's going to talk, and the whole system's going to fall apart. Fight Club.
Well, it's the thing. No, first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. And then he asked, why are there now 30 people here when there were only 2 last week?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's honestly, it's, well, you know what? The conspiracy theories like were rife before then. And QAnon, like whether or not you want to, like, it's obviously bullshit, but he's smart enough to realize that people are idiots.
Yep.
And then you got people that I had a friend of mine that was sharing the pandemic video 6 months after it got debunked.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and I told her, you do realize this has been debunked? And someone said, by who? I go, by anyone with a brain.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things for me is that a significant portion of my personal experience interacting with people from the US is my 2 partners. And then, are you guys familiar with spirit science?
Like ectoplasm?
Sort of shit,
Is it Zener cards? Like who?
Are you thinking of Scientology?
No. It was this ESP research done back in the 70s, I think.
Okay. So Spirit Science is a YouTube channel that spouts like a shit ton of conspiracy.
It's a channel.
And so there's my boyfriend's parents spout that sort of shit, and my non-binary partner's parents are Trumpers.
Oh God.
Oh, you broke me, Andy. Ectoplasm. Sorry, Sam. I have to be.
No, you're all good. I was amused by that, but I play far too much tabletop role playing games to be entirely fazed by that.
Well, I'm looking at Spirit Channel right now, and if you want to get broken, they have 19,100 subscribers to Spirit Channel. This is the same Spirit Channel, oh wow, yeah, he looks like an Ancient Aliens dude. That's what he looks like. He looks like a very
Ancient Aliens. I think at one point you mentioned Flat Earth. The moon is hollow.
Aliens.
And if we can get subtitles from this person's channel, it's Lemurian Crystal Meditation Class 3.
Now, I'm looking at the Spirit Science channel, and it currently has 1.1 million subscribers.
Oh, so this is obviously the Rhine channel then. So say, can you give me the name of the channel again?
I have just stuck a link to it in the private chat.
Oh, thank you.
I would have stuck to it in the
Science.
main chat, but I'm not a mod, so couldn't do that.
Oh, well, I'll make you a mod. Give me a second here. One thing at a time.
Good. Thinking about doing me a YouTube channel, but it's going to be on gardening.
Oh, I saw one of your videos on Facebook.
I'd watch you do gardening, John. I still think it'd be a laugh.
My daughter was going to do, I was trying to get her to do a haircut for me, do a mohawk. She's like, I ain't going to have no part of that. You're going to look stupid. And so I was outside pouting about it. And I'm like, well, you're probably waiting for my fucking haircut picture. Well, it's not going to happen. So we're going to talk gardening. And I get excited, and it was fun.
Sam, if you make a comment in the easiest way for me to make you a moderator is just put a comment in the other comments, and I'll just hit the magic button. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I have stuck a comment in there now.
All right, cool.
Just got a little bit of delay on my end, I think.
Spirit Science 1 point. Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, they are. They're bad enough that Telltale covered that channel at one point.
Yes. Episode 1, Telepathy, the secret language of thoughts.
So secret that they cracked it.
Indeed. Oh, Glenn, I think I lost Glenn. All right, so Glenn,
Yeah, no, I accidentally logged myself out. So,
and here it is. Here's the conspiracy theory of everything. And if you're asking me, are there multiple videos of the conspiracy theory of everything? Yes, there are.
Yes. It's really, really bad, but like I'm pretty sure they also encourage essential oils and shit, which obviously harmful for the planet. I have opinions.
yeah. Did you say
My
essential
opinions
oils are bad for the planet?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So take frankincense, for example. You have to over-harvest a frankincense tree 100 times over in order to get the equivalent of just harvesting a frankincense tree in essential oils.
Wow.
And frankincense only grows in very specific places, and it's already an endangered plant.
Yeah. Well, there's the rainforest and all the forests are becoming endangered species right now. But no one wants to invest in growing hemp, which grows in a matter of weeks, as opposed to 40 to 50 years it takes a tree to grow. You know.
I know.
So
I can grow anything.
Anything. That's a bold statement there. That's a bold statement. I can grow nothing.
I've been planting trees by seeds, and I've been here for only a year, and I've got some of them. I've got probably 50 trees that are over a foot tall.
yeah,
And it's what I do. I'll leave my legacy that way, you know.
yeah. Well, no, it just annoys me because even though the world is coming around to the medicinal uses of pot and how it's not as dangerous as people like Jeff Sessions wants us to believe. The fact is that we could save the planet if we just stop cutting down trees and start putting up hemp plants.
You could feed the fucking world on hemp.
Yeah.
It's
Listen, I have this idea for you, brother, for your new channel. Conspiracy Theorist Gardening. I have no idea what that would be until it would blow up.
conspiracy theory.
Viewers.
That would be quite fun.
Conspiracy Theory Gardening. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it just annoys me because, like, we're killing the planet, and we could easily reverse it if we did even a couple things.
One plant at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
and also nuclear is a lot safer than a lot of education systems make it out to be. And if we increased nuclear short term, that would potentially be beneficial.
is there nuclear short term? I mean, in terms of like not a generation, like you build the infrastructure, you build a plant. And I'm not arguing on the merits of nuclear right now, but just the statement short-term nuclear. That seems to be
short term
thing.
is relative. Short term is relative here.
Right.
In the you can expand existing plants.
I don't know. I'm not a nuclear scientist or as.
I mean, I am of the opinion that we shouldn't do that and we should invest in renewable. However, people pull their face less at nuclear than renewable. So
I'm exactly the same, Sam. I would prefer 100% renewable, but I say that and people look at me like I'm some kind of radical freak. So I tentatively go, nuclear? And they go,
pretty much.
It doesn't leave the carbon footprint. I mean, even making solar panels, there's a lot of carbon footprint that goes along with that. I mean,
they're made out of plastic.
I'm working to be off the grid here. My water's all rain collection. We've got some solar panels. We're expanding it. And
are your solar panels made of hemp plastic, though, John?
Fuck, if I had my way, they would be.
Hey, listen, I just don't want to use windmills because according to a certain person, it causes cancer, and if they don't spin, I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
Well, geothermal.
And the
is the way to
birds.
go.
Geothermal is an interesting issue because I've heard that the planet's always there. You don't have to worry about it shining. You don't have to worry about, it blowing. The planet is always here. So
as a general contractor, fucking 20 plus years ago, we was laying tubes in the ground in Utah. And then so summertime comes, that ground is 55 degrees.
Yeah.
So the tubes running through that floor is cooling that house. In the wintertime, you can get down to 0. So they only have to take that water from 55 degrees to bring it up to 70 degrees to make that house comfortable. I mean,
my girlfriend and I, John, had this entire conversation on the way back from North Carolina. And it's like, well, why isn't geothermal more of a thing? And just a cursory look on YouTube, on Google, shows that for individual house owners, even though the startup costs are somewhat expensive, I think you can recoup the costs for putting in a geothermal heating system in your place. I think the low point is 4 years, and I think maybe the higher end of that is like 12 or 15. But geothermal is definitely not.
Especially if you had geothermal for like a apartment complex or something. Because then you kind of get, if you had geothermal for an apartment complex as well, then you would have lots of people kind of coming in and out, and it's on a larger scale, which tends to mean that you'd recoup costs faster. As a general rule, I've kind of been informed.
Well,
which make it more business viable.
Proper insulation in a house will save so much money. I built with these R control panels that were actually 8-inch styrofoam with laminated OSB board on the side. We would throw the walls up, come through with a chainsaw, cut the window holes out, and then you take a styrofoam burner, burn these houses are 95% efficient. There's better technologies rather than stick frame building that, 99% of American houses.
When John starts talking man talk like this about knocking walls out, it's like, I get every third word, John. I get everything.
I'm old now. I play in dirt.
So John, it's I've heard that a lot of places if you get a new build on a house, you can actually use the what you're talking about is also what using the soil to heat your house, like under soil heating,
Well,
like actually using the thing to power your whole house through what's coming up from the earth.
what it does is it lessens the cost because when you go down 2 feet in the ground, you're 55 degrees. So if you have them tubes running through the ground, the water on a boiler system doesn't have to heat it up when it's 0 degrees outside. So you got a 50-degree increase, and the same applies for cooling.
Yeah.
In the summertime.
So if you combine that with solar, you probably pay next to nothing in terms of
you can reverse that meter.
Sorry, what?
You can reverse the meter.
Yeah,
you can get to a point where you're being paid to put money into the grids or energy.
Do you know we actually have that in Australia?
It's a thing
It's very
here too.
common
It's just
where
not particularly
people
common.
don't pay bills; they actually receive money.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, and they should.
Yeah. I think the thing with renewable energy is that you need different types of renewable energy for different areas.
Yeah.
Like a desert place with little wind is ideal for solar panels, for example. But that's not going to work in Scotland, land of zero sun.
Yeah, but the wind would work out in the ocean there, you know.
Oh yeah, and in the ocean, wind would work, but in a desert, you don't want wind for your solar panels because the wind will blow sand on top of the solar panels and cause you an issue.
I'm going to disagree. We have the solar panels here in Texas, huge solar farms in between El Paso and Fredericksburg.
So it depends what sort of desert, actually, doesn't it? My brain went to automatically to like sand desert.
Okay,
sand desert, the best of deserts. Yes,
you probably find that they have to maintain those solar panels anyway, John. They probably have to get out.
Oh, you have to maintain anything.
Them. Yeah. But I mean, they probably do get dusty.
I mean,
it just becomes a question of how long until they use the solar panels to power a robot that goes and maintains it for you. Because
the Mars rover, the
windscreen wipers.
How many times was that Mars rover supposed to go down because of the dust?
Yeah.
Then the fucking winds take care of it. Nature's fucking crazy that way.
Hey, I when it comes to robots, they made about 6 movies about that. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that.
See, I'm at a point where it doesn't matter if we're comfortable with AI and mechanization.
I'm just kidding, of course.
I'm not. I saw Maximum Overdrive and the shit fucking scared me about 40 years ago.
I want to go back to nuclear power for a minute because it strikes me that you can have like geothermal power plants. If you just drill down far enough, water's going to get hot. Water's going to get hot, and you can just spin a turbine that way. Now, I'm just a chuckle farmer here, but I think that seems pretty doable.
Well, there's hot springs everywhere. Probably, if you look it up, guaranteed everywhere in the United States, there's hot springs. So there is hot water.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking power anything with steam.
So that depends. I was going to say that actually depends on the area because slightly different temperatures in different places, but also it depends on exactly how hot you want to get those that underwater steam being.
Right.
It's obviously easier at places where, lava flows and things are closer to the surface.
What Andy was getting at, I believe, was, hey, just how far do you want to drill?
But it's free. It's free, and I think that's the problem. Is how are they gonna?
Yeah,
it all comes back to the oil. Until we can get rid of the fucking oil, we're not going to go anywhere.
I will point out that for the time being, it's even if we swapped entirely to renewable, some of the byproducts from oil we need for medical stuff, and the bio alternatives don't work because most human bodies reject them. So for the time being, till we find something better, we are stuck with a small amount, at least, of oil.
Yeah,
Which is fine. And
Andy-
that's what we should be using it for.
And Andy's idea, I think, would work quite well, but convincing governments to do it,
well, that's what
because
it
it would
is.
be an expensive
Yeah.
project.
No, that's what it is. It is expensive with a lot of startup costs.
Girlfriend
But
was
once you
right.
get over once you get the startup costs, then it would pay for itself over the long term, because it's literally just drilling holes into the ground. Yeah, I was looking at the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and they were saying that some geothermal wells are as much as 2 miles deep to spin turbines and everything.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah,
That's a hell of a hole.
that is a hell of a hole.
it is a hell of a hole. Yeah,
But it's got to be feasible. I mean, if you've got to dig miles and miles, maybe thermal isn't perfect for that area. If you can go to areas where you look in a hole and see the lava flowing through, then
Hemp fuel.
Yeah.
Fuel. Yeah, no, you can power any vehicle on hemp fuel.
and that
You
was
can
kind of
cost-
where I was trying to start to go with, like, the different areas will need different types of things. Is that we can do that? It just requires that people trust scientists, which is, I think, our problem.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something called the scientific consensus, and even though that's not that the scientific consensus is our best guess at this time about making policy decisions, and that shouldn't be like a radical idea.
Like, politicians don't listen to them, and even if they did, the people wouldn't listen to the scientists themselves, would they? So
Right.
I think we have deep-rooted issues there, and maybe that's just me having grown up in like a really Pentecostal evangelical family, but my general impression of people is this, and I'm getting more and more, or less and less, confident in people the more time I spend on the internet.
Well, yeah.
But, and here's, I think, the problem. And I think, and sorry, Andy, but I think it was Jordan Peterson.
Oh,
But I have heard other people say this as well, or this sentiment, that oh God damn it, what is it about your show, Andy? Everyone does that.
I don't know. Well, I think you're invoking the spirit of Jordan Peterson, brother. That's your problem right there. As soon as you invoke the wisdom of Peterson, it's gonna mess up anything in your frontal lobes.
Wisdom and Peterson in the same sentence.
Well, there is a great online quote generator of Jordan Peterson called the Wisdom of Peterson, I think, or the Wisdom of Jordan Peterson. It just creates word salad that sounds like Jordan Peterson. It's hilarious. Deepak Chopra has one too.
And it's basically you can sub in the wisdom of Jordan Peterson with the wisdom of Ben Shapiro, because they're both just as fucking stupid as each other.
Well, I would say that Peterson is probably crazier or has a less grasp, especially as he's gotten older and has gotten sick. He's probably has a less grasp on what's going on around him than just a shyster known as Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
I'm gaining great hope for mankind just from the people on the internet that I've met. But I try to stay out of bad neighborhoods too.
I remember it came back to me. So he said, in response to something, yeah, but science is very left-leaning these days.
Yes, it is, and this is the problem.
And my jaw, after I picked it up off the floor and relocated it.
So I'm at the Jordan Peterson quote generator right now. It's called the Wisdom of Peterson, and it's the Jordan Peterson word salad generator. And it says the key to life nurtures the barrier of miracles. That's the kind of stuff it just kind of shoots.
Self-power explains spontaneous fulfillment is what I got.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, of course, science is left-leaning. we actually walk. We don't walk. We walk on our feet and not our hands and feet as well. You know, so we
But
actually
do you know
are.
what? Do you know what my brain heard? Was him saying the left is correct.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And commie
Because
like,
you
bear in mind
agree
I'm a
with
dirty-
consensus.
Yeah,
Well,
dirty commie take potentially, but like when the science is left leaning, maybe that just means people generally should be left leaning.
You know, the problem with scientists is that they don't read enough Dostoevsky. That's the problem.
Well, the thing is that it's
So gulags.
the Republican tagline is, "I'm not a scientist, but I'm still going to make comments about science."
Yeah.
That's like the Republican politician standby. I'm not a scientist, but I'm going to disagree with you, with the guy that has five five degrees and can talk to me and can make me look like a complete moron. But I'm going to disagree with him anyway.
Well, right-wing science is like windmills cause cancer. Yeah, no, you can nuke a hurricane. Yeah, no.
I don't want to bring this back to Nazis because I seem to bring a lot of stuff back to Nazis. But you know who didn't like relativity? The theory of relativity? Nazis. They didn't like that.
Are you trying to tell me that you can't nuke a hurricane? Donald Trump lied to me? Never.
Well, let's see what Jordan Peterson has to say about that. I'm sorry. Telling the truth is an ingredient of deep reality, roughly speaking. So,
Where can I take my money? I want to go and see this guy speak.
Here's another wisdom of Peterson one. Don't get me wrong. Science is the path to unbridled facts, roughly speaking.
roughly speaking.
Well, my favorite is an actual one, which I still haven't heard anything beat this, is, yeah, well, if you don't like, in regards to the fact that the white patriarchal society doesn't exist, there's no patriarchy. You know, women could stand up and take it if they wanted.
That's why women wear makeup in the workplace.
You know, if you don't like this world, you could leave it.
Oh,
you see,
and the poor girl goes, "Well, actually, no, I can't." And he goes, "No, I mean literally, like." And she said, "Oh, you mean kill yourself?" He's like, "You said it." No, you did.
Yeah, no, that's literally what you just said.
You see, I know this is pretty. I don't know if it's a wrong or right thing to say, considering that none of us are of color. But could we have a?
My ears start burning, Glenn. As soon as you say that, it's like
mute.
Could we have a sellout Olympics between Candace Owens and Kanye West and see who wins to face I don't know, Ben Carson?
Yeah. What?
Because the thing is, this is that what's like, to be able to just say that, just to say the stuff they say just to make money is ridiculous.
Just to make money. Yeah. No, there's a certain segment of the population who just does things for money.
Yeah.
Gestures vaguely at Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes.
Caitlyn. Yeah. Well, hey, it's almost an hour, I think, before we start talking about Caitlyn Jenner. And I guess
that's a whole rant.
Well,
that's
the last 3 minutes we've done Nazis.
Exactly. Any last thoughts, anyone, before we start closing up?
Yeah.
Y'all have a good day.
Yeah. I probably won't. I'll probably not be. I'm not going to be able to see. Do this tomorrow. I'm working, but I'll see you guys later in the week.
All right, cool. Well, it's always good having you around, Glenn.
Yeah.
And Sam, thanks for coming on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's been good.
Yeah,
and if I don't see any of you guys this week, have a great week.
Yeah, you too, man.
You too, Glenn.
Later, man.
Thanks everyone in the chat for showing up.